How's everybody doing today? Good morning, traders. Venterman here with FuturestraderElite. I'm going to give it a couple minutes here to see if we get some people on here before we jump into the charts and try to break some things down before market opens this morning. So just hang tight. We got about 14 minutes before the market opens. I'll give it probably a couple more minutes here. See for some people to get on in case they want to see the breakdown before the market open. Looks like we have had us things are looking pretty bullish right now on the market with what it's doing currently, but there's a few key areas we need to address to really kind of get a bullish bias sense behind us. Not necessarily a trend bias to be bullish, but looking for long trades, certain levels that we need to hold to get to break and maybe consolidate. Excuse me. So I'm going to go on and jump in here to these charts real quick so that we can kind of discuss what we're looking at here on the 4-hour chart. As you can see, let's try to, well, now I want to zoom down first. Here on this 4-hour chart, we're trading around 145 right here in this area. All this right here to the left is what we need to target for us to get sort of bullish. You know, now that they're up here, they've about filled this red box here, this imbalance zone. Now, if they can drive this up at the market open and say they drive it up over the market and take these levels out here, you know, we got these 4-hour zones up here. We're in the 400 area. 4 and 500, 450. If they take all this out right here and don't reject hard from this area, then we might be needing to start thinking more about what kind of long plays, big moves that we might be able to get. But until they get up here and break this, we need to be concerned with, do they get up here and then just put another leg down? Okay. Now on the 4-hour, you see we got this low here. We got a higher low, higher low, higher low on the 4-hour. So that's trending pretty good as of right now. So it's positive for us on the bull side, but you have to make sure you position yourself correctly, you know, with a trade plan. If you want to play some longs, they could get to this 4-hour zone right here. Just right here, you know, they take out this imbalance zone, say, which they've just about completed already. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off my chart. It's pretty much gone. So we got this 4-hour zone here, and that's going to be 245 to 255. You can see right now we're sitting right inside a 4-hour zone. This 4-hour zone up here is, hold on, this one's 245 to 255. This one up here is 405 to 415, and then 450 to 460. So, you know, we're talking 300-400 points. Yeah, can we do it? Possibly, because they've been doing a good job driving this up so far. you know, this is pretty bullish, this drive here. It just depends what happens here at the market open. Do we get a big push up into here? If we do, will it hold? If it does hold, what kind of game plan can we expect to execute, you know, if we get up here and hold? Are the R2 pivots at 317? There's a lot of room here to move. Now, say that they try to drag this down at the market open. We got a 1 hour zone here that's 65 to 75. These two 4 hour zones down here, this one is at 99. This is 990 to 25,000, and this one's 15 to 25. This is all too close here, so if they try to drag this down, yeah, in theory, you would think that they'd want to protect the low that's in this box and bounce it, but because of how close these are and this one being in a whole number below it, there's a good possibility that they would just run through this 4 hour and tag this one. And this is kind of the line in the sand, you know, we need to hold 25, because if we don't hold 25, then there's a good possibility we're getting back down here into the 800s. So the golden pivot's at 930, and right now you would have to think, because we've already tagged around 178 to this morning. We're at 147. We tagged 178, this box, 1 hour box, 65 to 75. You know, you just have to see how hard it moves when the market opens to make a decision on what this range might be when it first opens. I'm going to say 25,000 seems a little steep. It's 150 points away, but it wouldn't, I mean, it can happen. And it has moved that much in the last week in the opening 5 minutes. So it's always a possibility. You know, it might be one of them plays that might be worth front loading down here with some orders at the open. If it looks like it's going to get there with speed, then even if they were going to break, even if it was to break, it would probably get a bounce there, of course, first. So you could probably front load orders here, scalp out, and then it might, you know, bounce to this 4 hour zone, take a leg down. All good possibilities. You can see we already broke through the upper trend line. It's actually broke this upper trend line a couple times today. I keep moving it. So, you know, it's one of them things where they just keep beating it, and then they'll spike through it and come back down a little bit. And then this is on the 4 hour. Let's have a look at this on the 1 hour, see if it looks any different. We still got about 7 minutes before the market opens. So on the 1 minute, I mean the 1 hour, you can see we got some trend lines down here. They're quite a ways away. Say this one on the candle that we're currently on, this trend line down here is at 750, 745. So that's a lot of room there. Not that it can't get there, but we're not trying to predict where it's going to go. We just want to know where we have the highest chance and confluence of support and resistance, and areas of concern to where we might be able to find good entries for bounce plays or short plays. For right now, I'm just going to worry about the 25K whole number. You can see the 50 EMA on the 1 hour is getting real close to the 25K mark. So say the market does open, you know, and over the next 15 minutes or so, this 50 EMA eases its way up here into this box right here. That's confluence, because it's a 4 hour zone, and now your 50 EMA has worked its way up there on the 1 hour. Would make you think, well, if we're on the 1 hour and this opens and comes down to this area, it could very well just be coming down here to take a bounce off of the 50. So it's another thing to keep in mind. We're going to hop down to the 15-minute. And on the 15, you can see this was a drive overnight last night. I was in this short last night. I traded a little bit and was in this short, and this opened up and spiked this down really fast, like it was nothing but a wick on the 1 minute, and then drove up. I mean, it's been a nice little drive. They did not like this area. It spiked down here and got in this 4-hour box and sucked up real fast on the 1 minute. It was a huge move, and then continuation, you know, across last night and through this morning. We have got, let's see here, 15-minute chart. I don't think there was many people on while I've been going over this, but I'm going to try to start these streams a little early so that we can get some of the structure broke down before the market opens. That way we're not talking about it at the very beginning or at the opening bell. Got about 3 minutes or so to go. I'm going to hop back over to the 1 minute. All right. So that's kind of what we was looking at as far as all the structure goes on the higher time frame. You can see as you go down to the lower time frames, you got to make sure you adjust these trend lines so that they're actually touching the candles, and being off just a little bit can make a big difference on an entry or whatever your strategy might be. I gotta get this closer so that when we're on the 1 minute I can see where I need to adjust it at. Looks like we have less than 2 minutes before the market opens. It did some nice consolidating right here above this 4-hour zone, as you can see, and then it tagged it here. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, they could, I would expect it would pull back further than that, but they could just open and smack this zone and try to take it back up. But seeing how is, we've been beating the drum against that trend line all morning. I've been having to move a little bit at a time. They may be trying to rip this higher, so only time can tell. Looks like we got about 18 seconds before the market opens. And then yesterday's prior high was right here at this 80 mark. So I mean, we're above everything really going on. Market open, got the buy signal on the 1 minute. trying to rip it, kind of like what we was talking about. Can they rip it all the way up out of that 4-hour zone? See what we got here. That opened up where, you know, we get up here to this box, we're pushing close to a 100-point move on the first 5 minutes of the open.
Order submitted.
That's a fast enough and quick enough move to the upside that I would believe a first reaction to the 4-hour zone would act as a quick rejection. We get there. Typically, I'd go to the center of this 4-hour zone, but as far as this is already driven to the upside, they may just barely tap into that box. If we go to the left of the chart, well, I'm going to have to get off screen too far to look at that. But this is getting right up into the zone I was going prepping early in the stream. There's a lot of resistance up here that they would have to get through. ATR is about 22 on the 1 minute. It'd be nice to see them do something like come up here and hit this 4-hour zone, catch rejection, and give back, you know, come back down to about the 175 level, 180, right down in here. Maybe retest that trend line. Sometimes you just don't get picked up, kind of like what that is. Looks like it smacked my sail, but it didn't pick any of them up. And now it could turn and go the other way and leave me sitting at the train station. Had it tagged it at 45, you know, would have already picked up, what, 20 points or better. Almost 30. It's the name of the game sometimes. See, it almost tagged it and then sucked down. I don't really want to get in the trade anymore. Right there. Since it did that move, that's what I wanted, was to get tagged, because I could have got out with a decent little profit there, and it didn't work out. So now it could come back up in here and test the zone again and keep going for another leg down, or it could come up here and pierce this box. That's too far to the left of the chart. Let's flip this over to the 15-minute real quick so I can kind of look at what we might have going on the higher time frame. All right, see this area right in here, and then if they can get above this, they'll probably, you know, if they can get through this box, get above 255 or so with some strength, we should be getting to the R2 pivot, and then they got to work on getting up here to this 400 area. All this resistance up in here in this whole area is going to be tough, you know, but they're doing a good job driving this up this time instead of rejecting. You know, they could have rejected down here in this area like they did here, but they got up here, they consolidated a little bit and took off here at the open, and it was kind of one of the ideas that might happen. Now the question is, if they can get through this one, they will more than likely try to drive it to this 400 area, but they could be looking at heavy rejection up here, because you can see what happened every time it's gotten up into this area. So we'll see if that's what they want to do. They're going to have to get above this zone and consolidate, unless they find the buyers and they just drive it to the upside like the zone ain't even there, which is possible. I've seen it happen, but should be, I'm going to be looking for something like 196. $197. See what they want to do here. Really overbought on the 1, 2, and 5 minute. See if they're going to try to reject again here. They're acting like they really want to push this pretty hard. I can get out of this. See if they want to take it up here. They sure are wanting to push it hard, it looks like. Here in about 3 or 4 minutes, I'll put in the 15-minute candle box and see what it looks like. Got a flag building out here on the 1 minute chart. I don't got your pole and then this flag here. You know, it almost kind of looks like, since they didn't drop it right here no harder than they did and then close outside of this 4-hour zone, this might be a little bit, you know, they come down here back to test this 36 area, maybe 40, and they keep chopping this right here and this diagonal flag until it finds another big move to the upside maybe. Looks like they're trying to find some more buying pressure here, even though we're overbought pretty heavy. I don't really want to get stopped out. Not yet anyway. I should probably take some green, but you know, you think they're going to drive up here and look at this 300 hold number up here. Maybe. Would make a little more sense. I think I'm going to try to get out of 2 up there at that whole number just in case it tries to reject up there. Should probably cover 2 here. And I'll hold on to 1. Nice. Okay, so now we need to see, are they gonna get to that R2 pivot? We was discussing that. Are they gonna reject up there? If not, are they gonna consolidate? We're really overbought pretty heavy, it looks like. So if they do get up here and tap it, you would think that we're gonna get some kind of relief rejection to cool down a little bit. You know, the price might not reject real far, but they may start doing some chopping around to drain the indicators off. I don't really want to give back none of my gains. Well, I'll leave it right there. Probably just need to take profit if I can get it right here and sit out and watch. Base hits. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, there we go. Now see if they reject there. Need to go back and check my copier. For some reason, my trades ain't copying. Looks like it was because of human error. I didn't even have it set up right. Did anybody else get that long? Throw it in chat if you took it. I'm gonna hop back over to the 15-minute real quick so we can have a look again at this area. See what it's looking like. Well, you know what? Before I do that, let's look at this 15-minute candle here. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw us a box on this 15-minute. So that was a 15-minute. It's already went out the top side of it. Questionable here is maybe it does a retest to the top of this before another drive up. Maybe give a chance for some drain off on the momentum indicators. Possibly. Look to the left of the chart and see what we look like. It's like maybe I need to get some of these boxes drug over. Drag some of our 4-hour zones over here where we can see what's going on. These are 1-hour zones up here. It's been a while since we tested this area as far as I've had to drag these over. That's close enough. All right, so now we see we got some more zones here. Let's move this bottom one here some more. Ooh, that was a long box. That was at 405 to 415. They're really trying to make the push, and on the momentum indicator is maxed out pretty much, trading sideways like you can see right here, all on this 80 line, and it could do this for a while and keep grinding up. 326. This is 405 to 415. And this whole area right here should be heavy resistance in here if we get up here. So hop back down to the 1 minute. Big drive. You know, we're only about 20 points away from moving 200 points since the market opened. With no down move. So, good possibility when we do get the down move, it could be a big one. No, maybe come back down and test this 4-hour box we went through. Let's see where that golden pivot is. All right, golden pivot's way down there, 930. If you took this trade long and you're still in it, great job. If you took any of this move and made some green, great job. But now's not really the time to be trying to go long. You know, that would more or less be chasing the move, because about anything can happen right here where it's stalling out. They could consolidate this and take it up. I mean, yeah, maybe you want to take this long here and risk the pivot maybe. Keep it tight, but I can't buy trades long when I'm so overbought on the 1, 2, and 5 minute chart and take entry unless I can. You'd really have to see the momentum coming in, and you could down in this little area taking the trade, but up here don't really see much going on. It can hang around here for sure up top on this indicator though, and still have enough in it to push it up to this 4-hour zone. ATR is at 13 on the 1 minute. So it's calmed down a whole lot after this getting up here. It still looks like they want to take it up there too though. after having this drive up like this, if they only drop this, 30 points or less, then they're probably looking for a bigger move to the upside. Because after that drive, you should get more than 30-point pullback. Maybe they come down here and retest the top of this order box for the bounce. I really can't find a reason to justify trying to get in a trade right here. Even if I think that they're going to try to get to the 4-hour box, there's not really a way to put a trade plan together. It would be more like scalping. I'm going to get in here, I'm going to hold this much risk, maybe buy candle wicks or candle bodies for your stops. I'd prefer to wait and see if they do get to the 4-hour zone and look for some sort of rejection for a short play. Or I would want to see some kind of pullback either to the top of the order box or to the 50 EMA or 4-hour zone below, or something for a better entry. Would make more sense than to just hop into the trade. Boring trading isn't usually profitable trading. Having patience is always going to be the winner. Take them base hits when they show themselves and work towards them payouts, and consider those the home runs. Not getting in a trade with the size being too big and bad risk management. have to learn to create good habits. Sitting on them hands, or you know, when it's a little slow like this and there's not really a trade plan to put together where the price action's happening, you know, look back at your higher time frames to see if you can start putting up trade plans together for particular trades. That way you are ready for when them moves do happen. Or get up and walk away from the computer until a better move. Maybe set some alerts. The one thing that causes a lot of issues is sitting there watching the entire time. Starts making the mind think that, oh, I need to take a trade. I need to be in a trade. Well, if I was in that trade before, I was sitting here watching, and I could have been in that, but then what happens if, you're just sitting there and you could have been in a trade, so you get in the trade and it goes the other way and you lose? That you wouldn't think that. Your brain only processes the trade that way when it moves and you would have been green, but it didn't. Then it don't do that, you know, for the loss. So it's better to just stay out. Anybody have any questions? Throw them in chat. I'll try to go over something while we're waiting for the next play to set up. Here we are, about halfway through the week. I traded a little bit of micros and gold last night in the evening market. Did okay, but the ATR was way too low. And then it got too low for me in MNQ, so I just got away from it. This morning I'm working on a couple Bull and Ox evals. If you're looking for evals, you can use code FTE at Bull and Ox to get their latest discount. I'm going to try to get these passed this week. They'll be ready hopefully by Monday. They're keeping this price action up here sideways in this little zone that they got going sideways, while they are allowing momentum indicators to try to drain back off to the downside pretty heavy. They could be, if they allow these indicators to drain off and don't really, you know, put in a lower low or anything like that. You know, if they can stay above this wick here, where they suck that up there about, say they keep it above 300. If they keep it above 300 and keep with this price action sideways and allow these indicators to drain off, then they're probably looking to make another move up. I mean, with that said, you could also possibly say they could come down here to this 50 EMA top of this box, 50 EMA, and still be looking for the move to the upside. Usually if they're looking for a downside move, a lot of times when you come off this 80 up here, we've already got this big move on this momentum indicator getting down here to the oversold area. Usually you'd have a bigger move in price action to the downside with that move on the indicator, but you know that price action ain't dictating what this indicator is doing, staying up there. So very, very possible that they're to be looking at this for a move to the 4 hour up here. You know, maybe they put in a pretty good candle, maybe come up here and break this wick here, get above this 360 area. I might think about trading something like a break structure continuation to the 4 hour box possibly. But they're going to have to show that to me with some momentum and not just trickle around like it's doing now. And if it does that and slow grinds, I don't like that kind of action. I'd prefer to really stay out of the trade, regardless if it's trending that way. I don't want to be caught up in that slow grind. And then for something to happen in a 1 minute candle open up and they say, we're going to trap everybody and drop 70 points in 1 minute or 100 and then suck it back up. So seems like they're always trying to set traps for us. You got to kind of watch out for them. If they do try to bring this down to the 50 EMA, now the 50 EMA is touching the top of the order box, which is confluence. Is, you know, if they bring us down for a bounce, it would be considered a retest of the opening range break, a retest of the 50 EMA magnet line. So you'd have two there. Might be worth a little risk there, maybe. Just watch and see what happens. And price action really don't dictate what the ATR is at either. ATR is almost 15 on the 1 minute, and it's not moving like that. It's moving more like it's between 3 and 5. Pretty slow, pretty slow. But they sure are making sure they hold the line up here, it seems like. Now the momentum indicator is pretty much drained off into the oversold area. Of course, it throws in a sell signal in the 1 minute, but it's hard to take a short trade when the sell signal and the momentum indicator is already oversold. You know, it bleeds off, and there's really no reason to take a short trade when that is way down there. You need to look for them short trades when the momentum indicator is in the green up top. You know, top side, overbought, not oversold. Not that maybe they won't play out, but that's just not a good idea. And if people don't look at stuff like that, then they're like, well, they say, well, I got that signal. Well, yeah, maybe so, but you shouldn't just buy and sell based on a buy or sell signal alone. You got to have other confluence and reasoning behind it. So now we're testing the 300 level. I'm going to test the 50 EMA, it looks like, and possibly the top of the order box. So kind of what we already discussed. Would they come back here and try to retest these areas? Maybe for a bigger leg up now that all the momentum indicators are drained off. I mean, they could bleed it off, but that would be unexpected for them to make the move after coming up here and chopping in that area instead of just dropping in the first place. Would have been a nice little trade off the 50 EMA. Would have snagged 20 points already. Which is a good base hit. Great base hit. The ATR on the 1 minute was just under 10 just a second ago. I can't believe it's that low this early in the session. You would think closer to lunchtime, maybe. Pretty much another test to the 50 EMA. Don't really want to close under the 50 EMA because then start having to think about being on the bearish side. But, you know, really, we had to drop down to this structure right here. Say 210 area would be looking at a better possibility of a short once it got under 50 EMA, which is a long ways away. Because of how big it moved here at the opening candle, coming down here 209 210 area where this tracked sideways before it started grinding up. You would think if it gets down here and breaks that area, you're probably going to move pretty fast, possibly to the bottom side of this orb box, you know, break about 210 and possibly move 60-70 points pretty fast to the downside. That is if that were to set up, you know. Tracking pretty good here in this downward angle here. Although it kept testing that 50 EMA and didn't really want to go anywhere. Now let's see if we get some momentum. I'm going to buy one and see if we get the momentum to the upside out of this. You know, we need to get back up here and break this 360 area if we want to see more to the 4-hour zone up top. It's almost like you gotta take baby steps first. We need to get up here and break into this 330 area with a candle. We need to get us a good green candle up this way, at least to test this area. Maybe just one candle real fast, and then see if it tries to build off of that and start slow grinding back up. Ideally, I could see them wanting to drive this up to that 400 box, but you really would have thought that they'd have dropped this harder than this if they wanted it to go back down. Way too much pressure holding it up here in this area. You got to think, come on, give us a big candle to 330 area. You know, maybe close, open back up, give us one to the 345 area up here. And then we'll start looking a lot better to the top side. Come on, keep pushing. Get us up to the 330 area. All of this, of course, is just for education purposes. This is what I'm looking at when I look at the charts. This is what I see visually. And I like to play the scenarios out, you know. And what better way to go ahead and talk through them? So 330, we need 330. Then we need 345. After 345, we need 365. It needs to sort of go just like that. We need a strong candle, you know, not at least one of these legs needs to be strong. It don't have to be every candle, but you know, if we get one big green candle, it don't have to be huge. Just if it was this one, get us to the 330, 340 area in one candle. Find the momentum and then start building off that. If it does and closes, and then we get one that gets us to 360 and so on. Before you know it, we break this structure up here, this high, for continuation. And there's a lot of people that are probably waiting to play that break of structure of the high day that'll be ready to come into the market. They're probably sitting on the sidelines waiting. People that are patient are just sitting there waiting for their setup to show the face, and then they press that button. Me, I figured I'd go ahead and get in with one because it's only one micro. It's easy to control risk management on it. Even if it went against me really fast, 50 points, I'm not down, but what, $100? You can come back from $100. It's when you're in with too much size and it goes against you too fast. What it does to your mental game while you're trying to trade, you know, that gets in your head. Instead of it just being $100 and you got too many, it's 500, it's 1,000, it's 300. Okay, so we got the buy signal here into the push into the 830 area that we was talking about. So now we need another good push into the 845 range and see how it handles that. If it handles that fine, then, you know, we're off to the races. If we can break 360, we're going straight to that box up there. Maybe not in a straight line. You're going to have to give it some time to breathe probably. But, you know, typically if you, in the scenario we're in with the way this indicator looks right here, and we got that buy signal here, that candle closed at 325, you can almost always expect for at least a 10-point move, which it was already there. It would only have to get to 335. We're there now. But there's plenty of times when you can, if you're scalping and you scalp signals like that, you can catch anywhere between 5, 20, 30, 40 points pretty fast sometimes over the next minute or two. And then if you have time to let them breathe, I mean, sometimes this time of day, this is the beginning of a bigger upside move. You know, I mean, it could get put in, and next thing you know, you're at 400 in 10 minutes from now. So I should probably put a stop in there somewhere so I stay in the green, but I want to, for education purposes, I just want to talk through the whole trade and what we're looking at. So when I said 845 area, that's this candle over here, this wick right in there. So we need to get past that. It's these little mini structures, because before you know it, then the next thing you know, it's like a 5-minute structure break, or then a 15-minute structure break, the more you grind up. So let me go over here and have a look at my 5-minute chart. Yeah, on my 5-minute chart, if we break 345, that's a break of structure on the 5-minute. So, you know, we need to get us some more legs under here, get us a good push, and then really depends on what they think about this spot up here, this high. Could try to get up there and reject off of it, be a lower high, or this could be a lower high right here where we're at. Only time can tell, but it seems more in line that they want to push this up than take this down right now. I am going to put a stop in just below that pivot.
Order submitted.
Just so that I don't let this go back into the red. I'd rather be able to have a little something than a little more red. You know, looking for the base hit. I can tell you now, if we break 360, then it's gonna 362 area, 363. This is gonna probably move pretty fast. You might, maybe not all the way to the 4-hour box, but you might get, you know, one of those fast wick candles or something. Only if it breaks, though. They could get up, maybe they don't even get there, or maybe they get up here and sweep it and only, you know, tag up to this area somewhere. Ideally, if we can get up here and I'm still in the trade, say it gets to 380 or something like that, 385, I'll put my stop right here at the top of this wick probably to protect myself, but that's only if it gets there. I have a hard time sitting and letting trades play out normally during the day. I like to take my profit and move on, and so I usually follow with my stops a lot tighter than this already, and that's why I get stopped out all the time. But I'd rather lock in the green and move on to another trade a lot of times, and that's just having to learn to be a little more patient, which I've gotten better at. But there have been a lot of trades I've been stopped out of, and if I could have just sat on my hands for 15 minutes, I would have made a whole lot more money. I leave a lot on the table all the time. But you got to learn to be okay with that too. You got to just trade your plan and what works best for you. Each trader is different. Seems like they're struggling a little bit just to get up to that little 345 area, so that don't really look real good. But there's a lot of overhead resistance all up in these areas that we hadn't been in a little while.
Order filled.
And then it's just like that. I get wicked out. Now that I'm out, it'll probably run. You know how that goes. Or not. Maybe we'll come down here and test 50 EMA again. Or maybe we'll go past it. But just have to wait and see. Are they going to try to protect this low back here where we swept it once to 280? Test the top of this range box again. I still don't really see a bigger move happening, but it could. And if it does, we need to be, you know, the better short would be below this box right here, this 4-hour zone. You know, they break below 245 from this area, then that could be something. But I don't really trust this price action after it coming down here real slow, bleeding off. We just had that little push, and then it just gave it all back that easy. You know, I need to see confirmation of something. Do we want to go this way or that way, or are we just going to chop around, you know, until whenever? Right now, you got to kind of think like, okay, so we're kind of like this right here. It needs to decide something right here within this range. Do we want to be a short trade? Do we want to bleed this down, or do we want to go to the 4-hour box? If so, we need to get up here and break this box. So the only problem is breaking. I'd rather play the break of the box up than the break of the box down, because there's too much confluence down here for a bounce. You know, we got the 4-hour, which it could reasonably retest and bounce out of there, you know, but then it could drop out of the bottom of this zone that we just drew and just touch this box here, this orb box, and then spike. So when I look at the chart, and that's the only thing that I can come up with when I'm looking at it, then that tells me I just need to not be trading. I need to stay out, because I can't put anything definitive together as a trade plan that even remotely would be worth the risk of getting into the market. Now, coming back up here and getting out of the top side of this, I could see that. Take the break of it for the 4-hour zone if it found its legs again and was running pretty good back to the top of this box and not all choppy and slow like it is slow grinding. Maybe take the break, or even if it come out and retested the top of this box for the move to the top. Now, if my momentum indicator was to line up with, say, a short play down here at the bottom of this box, or if we get below these lows right here, and my indicator was way up here in the 80 area overbought, and it lined up, let's say, with a and say that this was driving up a little bit and tagged this trend line, and on that little run I got my first 5-minute candle and it lined up with, say, a turnaround in my momentum indicator, I would probably take a short trade. But other than that, I'm gonna have to sit out. Sometimes that's part of it. And a lot of times sitting out is winning. You know, you're not at risk, so you're winning. Just because the market is open don't mean we got to be in it trading. We can always be observers from the sideline. I do a whole lot more observing anymore than I do actually being in something. The more patience that you have, the better off it'll all be. And then the better prepared you are in the morning before you come into the market. Having some kind of set of rules or some kind of routine that you do regularly beforehand. That way you don't just open the computer up and pop up a chart and just look at it and think, okay, market's open, time to go. You know, I got to have reasoning for everything when it comes to this, and I have to be really prepared for what I'm doing and what I'm looking at. Can't be rushed into it. There's been mornings I was running behind with something, doing this or that, and just hop on and didn't do all my due diligence, and you know, it'll bite you real fast. The market will. It'll humble you. So always try to do some breathing techniques before the market opens to make sure everything is calm and ready. You know, get your heart rate down, get your mind clear. ATR is only at like 10 on the 1 minute, so nothing real exciting. once again, though, I mean, you can see they're keeping the price action up here. They done drained the momentum indicators down once and didn't really do anything with them. I mean, it was a nice little move, I guess, the one that we was in, and we might be getting the same move right here. Same ordeal, you know. Maybe could have picked it up there at the bottom of this little box we got and try to play for the top of it. And there's ways to trade zones like this when it's in its sideways chop, and it's just like that. Find the zone, you know, go long or short, you know, when it reaches the top or bottom of the zone box. I mean, it's something that can almost be done, it seems like, every day when it gets in the chop. As long as you learn to trade it a certain way, and listen to your plan and only do it that way, you know. It comes down to the bottom of the box. I'm going to put an order in here at 295, and I'm going to put a stop right here on the bottom side of this wick or the bottom side of this box, because, you know, I want to get filled here and I want to immediately be out and then I want to see if I can get a bounce. And then you do the same thing at the top. You know, it only got out here a few times and only got out here a few times. So, you know, close to the top of the box, so I'm going to say I'm put one here, and then I'm going to put my stop just to the outside because it's staying inside this chop zone. It's about the only way you can trade chop and actually not end up hurting yourself. And then you also got to trade small. You want size down, of course. When you trade all day long and constantly rotating through accounts, you know, I've traded just like that plenty of times, and I probably still will. Some days I might, just depending on the day. I try not to. I don't really like to trade like that, but it's a way. There's always ways to find trades and still hold good risk management. They're not the A+ setups, you know, that we look for, but there are ways to trade it. That's all there is to it. But like with anything, everything carries risk. So sometimes it's just best to maybe sit back and trade in a practice account, a sim account or something, you know, especially if you're working on strategies and everything else. You don't really want to be testing those with your own capital. Sometimes the best thing to do is to draw a box on your chop zone and walk away, or set alerts at the top or bottom of it to know when it breaks, and then come back and check it out. Because sometimes you could be sitting there forever waiting for it to make a decision on what it wants to do. Or, you know, you can set alerts on your chart to get close to, say you're waiting for a trade setup and it's within 10 or 15 points or something of where your trade plan entry would be. You can put an alert on there. That way you're not sitting there staring at it if you got things to do. Because that's where a lot of people get in trouble, is sitting back and staring. Instead, they could not be staring and just be listening for the alarm. And then they know to, hey, I better take a look at this. If anybody has anything, any questions, throw them in the chat. Give us a topic to go over if there's something you want to know about. Right now, I'm thinking it's about time to take a nap. Waiting on this thing to set up and make up its mind. It's a good day for that, Rich. Just practicing the sim. Good job, Rich. 3 on 3, winning trades. That's what I'm talking about. Did you catch some of that leg to the upside at the beginning? I'm assuming you did. That really was the only thing worth trading. I guess I could get in a sim account and be doing what I'm talking about. I just didn't really want to mess with that, getting in one of those. I don't know how many trades I took today. No, you took 3. Oh, did you take 3 for 3 winning trades in that sim account while you're practicing up there in that range? That makes sense. Hey, it can work. And if you're using 1 minute, you probably did pretty good. Well, I can tell you now that's one of the best ways to play these chop zones. As long as you know how to box them out. Excuse me. If you know how to box them out, it's highly recommended to even to stay out of chop, but don't be fooled that there's not money to be made there. I mean, everybody can look at the chop and see, well, if I get in up here and hold, and I mean, you can see the trade, especially once the chart starts evolving. You can see to the left, but it's highly recommended to stay out. But that's awesome, easy to do. especially that whole, when the ATR is low like it is now, it's at 12 on the 1 minute, makes it even easier to try to do something like that in that box. Yeah, let's see what they want to do here. Do they want to give us a better drop? Or do they want to trap people? I'm guessing that this is going to be a trap. Once again, I mean, yeah, this is looking like it wants to be a short setup right here, but the only problem I have for myself with that is I don't want to get caught. The momentum indicators are drained off already too much. And not that it can't still, I mean, it could go way down even though the indicators are, but so often, you know, the entry for the short then would have been up here, you know, in this box, then to get in right here, and then all of a sudden they open a 1 minute candle up and it's over here somewhere against this trend line. So, you know, for me to want to jump into a short, for it to make more sense to me, I would rather this drive down and have a lot of momentum behind it, and I'll take a short under 245, because then we're breaking this structure over here, and there could be people waiting with stops. You know, anybody that took this move to the top side, they could be waiting with their stops way down here and letting this breathe. I mean, there's plenty of people that trade that way. And then the market's going to be like, well, we see them down there. Where are they going to sweep them, or we're just going to shoot straight through them? And plus, it's break a structure. And I want to take part of that, because that break of structure could get us down here, you know, 185, 190 area pretty fast. But as far as up here, no, I can't do that. At least not, and it'd be a smart play, not for me. Now we start making these moving down right here like this, and we start getting some legs up, you know, back up here to the 50 EMA and everything, and my momentum indicators are up here to the top side instead of oversold. Then I'll be thinking, all right, now I want to short, but I want to get short up here at the 50, maybe a little more for the next leg down, because that's exactly what this might start doing right here, is being a pop and drop type thing if they cannot find somewhere to bounce it, which could be this 4-hour box. They could tag us 4-hour box and bounce this. This might not be a pattern of lower high, lower high, lower high ordeal. They could get down here and say, nope, we're going this way. Let's see here. We'll be right back, guys. I'm going to mute myself real quick. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Looks like I'm missing a little bit of price action there. That was a decent little drive too. 270, about 310, 40 points. Now question is, are we going to get a bigger leg to the downside for a lower low? Or do we have more upside in play here? Really only gets us back to where it was at. I think we was around there, the box was, or 291. So it come out, come back in, now we're back in the box. Yeah. Most traders will struggle some with the chopping around. It's just hard to get anything done, anything productive. You know, and seeing how that's now a lower high that they put in, so, and now we got our little trend line here on the 1 minute. So, you know, now not only do we need to think about, now we need to break this trend line, in my opinion. I'm going to be expecting anything right now that comes up here to try to reject. For the time being, unless they can get up here and we take out the top of this box, pretty much. I'm going to take out the top of the box and take out this 360 over here, so. Although I might start doing some scalping a little bit here in a minute. I gotta try to get rotated through all these accounts. Nah, hadn't traded much since the market opened other than that first leg up. Maybe they try to drive us up here and tag us R2 pivot in this trend line. I might think about that, taking that short maybe for a scalp. ATR's at 10 and below on the 1 minute, moving around. Not a whole lot of action going on. Buy signal on the 1 minute. I like those better when they trigger on the 1 and the 2 minute at the same time, and then even better if it's on the 1, 2, and 5. That's just on the 1 minute. So although if they can get a little push up, it'll probably fire off on the 2 minute as well. Is there any particular trades that you guys are waiting on to set up? Yeah, I think that's what we're all doing. Rich is just waiting to see what it'll be, up or down. Yeah, this price action is just about miserable. Yeah, I hear you. I was thinking the same thing. I think probably around 10:30 or so, if this thing hadn't made up its mind, I'll probably get off the stream and find something better to do for a while. You know, at least they're holding the area so far. I don't want to see this drop all the way back down to, say, this area down here. These 800s. I'm sure it probably will, but it's nice that it's finally trying to make its way up and not be as bearish looking overall. I wish that the price action was better than this, so that could actually be doing some more live trading than watching. Although it's a good opportunity to discuss other things, answer questions, talk about market structure. Yeah, especially setting them alerts is great, especially if you're going to be around. Maybe not necessarily watching, but can be around your setup and hear it. I do that quite often sometimes. If I'm not completely shut down, you know, but if I'm still around my desk, but doing other things, then I'll do that. Turn that volume up. It's just a lot better than sitting and watching the whole time and staring, because there's nothing you can change about what the chart is telling or doing, and it can really do nothing but get you in trouble if you can't learn to be patient and stay out of it. I think I came back yesterday and traded in the afternoon for a little while, and then I traded in power hour. Or I came back and I traded through power hour, and I caught that good run in power hour. And I traded in Q in the afternoon. Instead, I had 2 minis and caught a 1800 on a trade that I was copy trading. It was a really good play. I posted a short on that. I think I put that out yesterday. Tried to catch that afternoon runner. And that ATR sticking to that 10 area, so I'm not going to expect too much to be happening anytime too soon. A good time to take a break and go to the gym or something like that. Help clear the mind. Run some errands. Me, I had to mute myself so that I could take care of these horses I got. I got to keep them happy. Or I mean, they ain't really horses, my Danes, but they're big like horses, but I got to keep them happy or they'll start making too much noise. It's like having a miniature horse indoors. You thinking a big drop, and so you thinking a retest of this high time frame trend line down here? Maybe big drop here and a bounce, and that R1 pivot's down there, if that's what you're speaking about. You could be onto something there. I mean, that would be a clean setup, especially because the market opened on this big candle and, you know, shot up through here. I could see it retesting structure right here. Call it 175 to 180, maybe. That'd be a good idea. So we'd be looking at something like, you thinking, let's say, well, I would be more inclined to say 77 probably to 82. Although that would, if it had enough pressure to do that, we're probably looking, you probably would get the sweep here. It probably would not necessarily tag this and bounce, but it could, yeah, absolutely. Tag that for the bounce. That's a huge move though from where it is right now. 150 points or so. And that's how you get that reaction though. So you're right, with a drop like that pretty fast. I think if you was to break 245 area right here, the bottom of this 4-hour zone, you'd be inclined to maybe catch that, get that play. Break below that, and I could see possibly that happening pretty fast. Issue is the way this chopped around and grinded up right here. You'd have to think on the drop, you better be careful of some bounces right in these areas of structure, especially this one right here at the 210 area. That would I could see that. That's something I would like to see. I would look for a play like that every day. Ideally, that goes kind of into me talking about earlier when I was looking, I would like to take a short play, but I'd like it to get below this 4-hour box. My take profit area would be 210 area first, and then it would be this box right here, because in theory, if I was short, I would want to be out by the time we got into this area of that R1 pivot and that trend line. That's enough drop and enough gain. You know, you have to take into account I like to set take profit areas in the structure itself. And so structurally, that would make sense to be out because of the possibility of the bounce here. Would it give it to us today? Who knows? It don't really look like it right now, but we all know how NQ can be. We could all be thinking the same way and it'll do something completely different. Yes, it does. It dances to its own tune, and then we just gotta be patient and take what we can get from the market. Whatever it'll give us, take it and walk away. Yeah, we're getting close to that downtrend line, but it's still one, even though it's in that chop zone and it got that buy signal, it's just not anything worth playing. I know I was talking about I might try to short up there, but I was talking about doing some scalping opportunity if we could do it, but the ATR is like at 7. I mean, it's really not even worth the time or the risk to mess around with that right now. You know, I'd like to see the ATR get back up to about 15, maybe even 20. Then to be dealing with this 7 in this chop. You know, turn around and break all this little mini structure here on the 1 minute with some green candles and showing some possibility of some momentum to drive, or, you know, take this low out back here and come on, let's go down. It needs to make a decision. Otherwise, we're going to end up in this chop zone for another 2 hours. And so, with that said, I'm probably going to go ahead and end the stream for today, because I'm not going to sit here and watch this for 2 hours like that. So we'll be back at it tomorrow, but at the same time, I'll be on a little earlier to try to go over market structure some before the market opens. That way we have some game plans put together. And if you're looking to get any evals, give Bullinox a try or trade day. Use code FTE for the best discount right now. And I'll see anybody in Discord that's a member of Discord. If something comes up throughout the day, if I get back on the charts, I'll post it in the live updates channel. Everybody stay safe and stay green. Stay out of the chop and be patient. Let them trades come to you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Rich. I'll see you in Discord, or maybe tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow on the stream.